I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Deep fried pixels.
Great, good stuff. I think people are getting really cranked.
All right. Here we are. What's happening, gentlemen?
Just
Deep fried pixels number 5. Everybody
week.
here? Everybody ready? Had some technical difficulties of my own. Had a little. One of the terrible things about having the long hair, I've just found out, you get a hair jammed into your eye, between your eye and your eyelid. It was.
Oh man.
At least I had something to grab onto and yank it out of there. It was great.
That was me. I'd call 911.
I was having a moment. I was having a moment there. I'm under attack.
You know, I've heard it said that all senior citizens must have life alert.
Yeah, well, don't they? They don't. I mean, they don't. Then they life alerts don't work anymore, don't they? Didn't they like die with like 4G to 5G and all the life alerts stop working?
I would think it's more like dependent on the municipality where you live. Like,
no, I think it was like a 4G
budget.
to 5G thing. I think when they switched to 5G,
really?
they I believe that was the whole thing.
Huh?
That it didn't work on the new technology.
It's all part of the plan, man.
It is. I mean, 6G is coming. You know, it's only going to burn your teeth out. Exactly.
There it is.
Just start getting that propaganda ready.
Well, I'm just off to a running start this evening.
Hey, we got a presidential debate coming up in a couple weeks, man. You better sharpen your skills there.
Shit.
There's a debate coming up.
I mean,
yeah, 2 weeks, man. You got Trump and Biden going at each
Biden's
other.
all messed up.
That's a pretty like loose definition of the term debate. It's going to
it's going to be entertaining, man.
Essentially,
like, I'm not into politics.
Have you
not
seen
trying
this?
to make a stance here, but I think it actually and not even directly the debate, but the satirical stuff that will happen afterwards. Like Saturday Night Live is going to be brilliant. John Oliver's going to be brilliant. Daily Show is going to be brilliant. Like, everything afterwards, it's going to be picking it apart. It's going to be great.
I think at best it's going to be like one of those YouTube videos where they put the two takeout places on cell phones and call and put them on speaker, and they just kind of bicker with each other.
It's just like a different, like a fast forward version, like an older version of the Jerky Boys.
Yeah, straight up, or even closer. I think, in all honesty, man, considering everything that gets publicized with those two, it's going to be like the videos where they put a mirror up in the woods and videotape animals reacting to their reflections.
Well, have you seen how they? What's that? They have that. Is it in Vegas where they have that? Maybe it's like in Boston or something where they have that. Portal to like somewhere in somewhere else in the world.
They had to shut that down immediately.
Yeah, everybody started flashing it. All the American girls started flashing it.
Yeah, how did they see that going, man? Just like, come on.
I think
They
that's
spend
hilarious.
money on stupid shit. It's like a portal. Yeah, people are out of work and
Right.
dying and fucking
Inflation's like just killing everybody at the pump and at the grocery store and at
What? Hey, look, gentlemen. I don't know about you, but seeing a nice pair of titties always brightens my day.
Sure, it's great, but it doesn't. My kids have hit that age where like they can't eat off of a titty anymore.
No, yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying, it makes you whatever you got going. You take a look and you're like, huh, yeah. There's that.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's nothing.
Just to have that going for me.
It's nothing you can't get off the internet anyway. Already. While we can afford it.
Man, I can see lots of pictures of lions, but seeing the real thing out in the wild is just a completely different experience.
It's true. But I mean,
especially by surprise. Those surprise titties.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
Those driving home at 3 a.m. trying to stay awake and a raccoon jumps out in front of your car.
I've used that excuse for wrecking my car before.
Have you?
I think it was a cat though.
I've dribbled a handful of different animals at high speed with my vehicle, and the saddest one was a coyote in the middle of like New Mexico in the middle of the night. Like we were driving, and all of a sudden it was just like my buddy was driving my car because we were driving from Minnesota to California, And I was just like, hey, man, look, there's a coyote. It's like running right on the side of the road. And then it just took a hard left right into the car, a hard right into the car. Like at first it looked like it was going down in the ditch. And I'm like, okay, cool. It's getting out of here. And then it just doubled back right in front of the car. And for like 4 weeks after that, there was this tuft of fur in between the rim and the tire. And I'm just like, I haven't gotten through to Christy Nome yet. I've been trying. But I wanted to tell her, like, I was like, I feel like this is a story you'd really enjoy.
Who's Kristen Nome?
She's like South Dakota governor, senator, or something that wrote.
Oh, so you're too tuned in.
She wants to be Trump's VP, and she got torpedoed herself because she like told a book, some story in some book that she had about how she killed a dog on her farm and was like all proud of it. I was just like, heard about it. And I was just like, wow. And dug a little deeper into it and heard some, she had like an interview on the news that just went way worse than anybody could have ever imagined that it might have. It was pretty like fantastically bad.
I don't think it matters as much anymore, man. I mean, remember like when the PI would get you taken off the ballot for a president, right?
Dude, remember Howard Dean? He
the PI.
He goes, ah! And then like people I was like watching or listening to something that was like talking about Dan Quayle and how he fumbled and stuff, and everyone was just like really, and he didn't fumble that much, I guess, but it's just a few times, and he was just known as this fucking idiot, It's crazy because now it's like people are just like, you're a racist and a pedophile. And it's like it's just like what?
We've entered the part of the little funnel where we're really, really close to the drain, and it warps out it warps out anything near. Like you can see stuff on the other end of the tub looking in the drain. That's
where we're at.
I think that's
basically the event horizon, right?
You are here, yeah, pretty much, man. Matthew McConaughey is hiding behind some intergalactic bookshelf, screaming at us right now.
No.
All right.
He's screaming out like the next. He knows what the next the fourth block ahead in Tetris is getting dealt to us, and he sees us setting it up wrong, and he's yelling. No,
did Josh leave the building?
It's the T. He had the lights pop out on him, and then he.
Yeah, I'm fixing them. 1 second.
You got your darkness in. I know you
technical difficulty.
You lose your strength with light.
Yep. Well,
he's got to have his vitamin D. He's got that.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought he was just going into Batman mode.
He was going to come back in a different costume.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty great. That would have been great. You need to come back on with a mask. If you don't come back on with a mask, you did it all wrong.
I put my big toe in a vice, and it makes me talk like this. I want you to tell all your friends about me. There was I saw some clip that I don't know what it was, some Actors Awards or something like that, but both Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger called out Michael Keaton for being Batman in the audience, and I was like, you know what, man, good. That's good. Both, I like to see it because I'm a Michael Keaton Batman guy.
You are like he's definitively the worst Batman.
Michael
Keaton, the best.
Michael Keaton?
I mean. He's definitively the worst Batman. Is that what you said?
No.
Yeah. Like
who's
worse?
Have to say maybe George Clooney.
Yeah.
That was the worst. But that was a lot of the writing and stuff.
Time out. Because there's a lot. Yeah, the nipple Batman is gone. Just like Val Kilmer. As much as I love Val Kilmer, I have a hard time. Like they jumped like those Batmans. Like I loved the Tim Burton Batman.
Yeah.
I love the vibe of it. Like when it came out, like. Yeah. The visual, just yum. It was a gritty Batman movie, and I like the Christopher Nolan ones; they're great. But the ones in between for me were just like, it was like It was like, did they have the Farrelly brothers direct these? What's going on? Like it was Schumacher, right?
Schumacher or Bruckheimer? No, it was Schumacher. Yeah,
Schumacher did.
Yeah, Schumacher. He was the weird one with the long hair.
Yeah.
But
I feel like Josh is now ready for this conversation.
I'm offended by that, Josh.
They were really different. They're like it's as tempting as it is. It's like you can't really compare them as apples to apples, right? Because they're very different Batmans. altogether. Like the Tim Burton one is not very comic booky, and the other ones are very comic booky, and then the Christopher Nolan ones is like transcends what the Tim Burton one was.
I think Tim Burton's was like a work of modern art, like a masterwork of modern art. It's a masterpiece.
But at the same time, though, it had its really campy like things in it. And I remember being a young kid and feeling cringe for the first time.
Yeah, well, like it was very Dick Tracy some at points.
Yeah. Well, it was very kind of harking back to the one with Adam West on TV, the Batman series, right? Kind of that whole. Everything was really colorful in a way. When it was colorful, it was very stark, but very stylized. And yeah.
Well, and Jack Nicholson as the Joker was a really like it was kind of a no-brainer choice, and it fit really well, and he killed it as the Joker. But at the same time, like I don't know, man. Yeah, it was very cardboard cutout type of stuff. And in my mind, I think Michael Keaton was the perfect choice for that Batman role because he stuck out against, like, he juxtaposed all the rest of it. Like the rest of it was like a comic book page, but he was like real life transposed on top of it.
Can I say as a kid, like, or growing up, one of the Batman villains that probably he's a little underrated, but to me, like, scared the hell out of me or just creeped me out, I guess, was Danny DeVito's the Penguin.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, like, dude, he had that weird shit like around his mouth, like a little bit of moss or whatever. It was, it just had the weird hands and like,
great.
yeah. He was great. Oh yeah, that was a fantastic villain.
And it was perfect that they cast Paul Rubens as his father in the film.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, just abandoned baby with flippers for hands. Pee-wee's the latter days of Pee-wee's Playhouse shit got dark and nobody ever talked about it.
He just leaves it next to a bike.
Rob Zombie was no longer involved in set design or anything. That was it.
Rob.
No, Batman.
The Danny Elfman music was awesome too, in the Tim Burton ones.
Yeah.
Like back before I had my motorcycle stolen, there was a song, was it Descent into Mystery, when it's Batman driving the Batmobile and he just saved Vicky Vale or whatever, and they're like going down that road into his hideout.
Right.
And that song that plays is like that was like the perfect riding song. If I was gonna go down that hot road, I'd just like, I am the night. Like ride. So good.
Totally.
That's
I
awesome.
remember watching that as a little kid and being like, because the road was completely covered in leaves. I'm like, what if he forgets where the road goes? Like I had all these like little kid existential thoughts where I was just like, that's scary.
He can't see the lines. He'll go cross over to the other side.
Like how does he know? Like how does he know he's not going to crash into the wall? Like what if the wall malfunctions? Like I was just like, what if there's inclement weather? And his suit rusts, like.
And what an intro too. The what is it? When it's those two guys on the roof, he's like, "Oh, come on, man! You're talking about the bat." Like those guys are awesome.
With a giant bat, yeah.
Come on, he took a slip off.
They were They did such a good job making those. That was funny, man. Because I watched it. I did watch it recently, like within the last 2 months. I've seen that movie again, and those guys are like they're the most comically ridiculous element of that entire film, and yet those are some of my favorite elements of that entire thing.
Yeah,
like I love it because they're just like that. You buy it, you're like, these guys are just scumbags that make the all the dirtbags in RoboCop look like choir boys.
Yeah, they're like sitting there counting money or something, right?
Right. Yeah, they robbed
my game.
Robbed like a family or something that was going to take their kid out for a film or something. They're just like, let's get some boost or whatever.
I think this is a good segue into the Steven Sack cinema because I would like to talk about Terminator and talk about the Terminator. I'm sorry. And talk about how there's these movies that we keep in the lore of our minds, that are these golden things like the Terminator that I go back and watch these days, and I can't say it holds up the way I want it to. Is the story still good? Yeah, but there was so much campiness to it that I look at now or not. It's not. It's not meant to be.
Well, yeah, no. At the
But
time, it's a
yeah,
product
at
of
the
its
time it wasn't. But like all the forced acting and the I don't know. It's just I watched it just kind of as a cynic, I guess, maybe a little bit this time, or different pair of eyes.
Yeah.
So but I wanted to compare it to something like the Batmans, where you watch those and they still hold up because that campiness is kind of built in, right? Like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it, part of it, right?
You lower its credibility.
Yeah, but the Terminator, it was like, like some of the stuff was just, like, oh God, the Terminator vision drove me crazy. It's just so, it's what they had at the time. I get it, right? Like, but how many times do I need to give it a pass for that? Right? Because it's like, am I really, if I'm giving it a pass because it was, that's the best they could do at the time, is that really holding up?
Well, I think what you're getting down to is you're putting the story to the test, right?
Yeah. I mean, the story is good. The story's good.
So,
that's what I said. I'm not trying to take away from the story. It's still the story of the Terminator, which is really
You'd say
cool.
it holds up. I'd say it holds up story wise, but visually, maybe of course it doesn't hold up.
So the story of the Terminator is a pretty wild one, man. Like it at its core. Let's go ahead and break it down. At its core, the leader of the human resistance in a future where robots have taken over and decided to kill all the people, somehow figures out and gets a hold of a time travel machine and has to pick his dad and send him back on a mission to go bang his mom before the robots catch her and kill her.
Well, was it the robots that sent him back?
The robots sent the Terminator back, but
John
Connor sends Kyle Reese back. So there's a picture out there. Sorry, I'm going to sidetrack this for just a second. There's a payoff here. There's a picture out there of Edward Furlong and Ron Jeremy just looking like the two criminals from Batman, like at a bar, like just looking at the camera, oh my God. And I saw the picture and my mind instantly was like, just zoomed in on the picture. Everything else went quiet, and I was like, okay, I'm doing the math. I got to make sense on this picture. Edward Furlong can't let go of the franchise. The only person left in Hollywood who will listen to him is Ron Jeremy, and Edward Furlong is in the bar somewhere in Van Nuys. It's like 4 a.m. Both of them are on a couple bags of nose beers, and Edward Furlong's like, all right, man. So here's the deal. We're gonna go back. I got the machine ready. I'm going to send you back in time. You got to bang my mom so I can be born. And Ron Jeremy's like, you had me at bang your mom, dude. It's like, you can't pull out, man. You can't pull out. You got to convince her that you're from the future. And it was just like, yeah. I've done this a million times. No sweat, kid.
No sweat.
Right. But so that was always the part about, like, once I figured that out, I was like, this movie's actually really weird. And like the things that happen, because like that dad doesn't there's never any part in the film where John Connor has the conversation with Kyle Reese where he's like, you gotta bang my mom, like he gives him a picture. He gives him a picture of her in the Jeep with the dog in Mexico somewhere, and he's just like, here's your mission parameters. I don't. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like this, is it understood?
Be a gentleman with my mother, please.
He's just, okay. He gave me the. I mean, what was I supposed to do?
To my mother.
What am I supposed to do? This kid gives me a picture of some babe and puts me in a time machine and has me save her from some robots that are trying to kill her. What? I'm not supposed to bag her? Come on, that could have gone. It could have gone so many different ways, and I don't know if he understood who his father was. If she had told him, or pretend, you gotta believe that Sarah Connor told him, and that's why he's all messed up. Imagine being a young kid at the age where he's supposed to be 14 years old and being like, okay, so when I grow up, the robots are gonna blow everybody up, kill everybody, and I gotta keep an eye out for this dude in my rank, so I gotta pop in a time machine and be like, she likes it this way and that, do what specifics. No fate but what we make, man. Whew, there's a lot. There's just a lot to unpack that I never got past because that just fucked me up so bad. I'm like, somewhere Sigmund Freud is just pounding off in his grave.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I
Did I
don't
take it?
know,
Did I-
and
did I
then I
cross-
don't understand exactly. So if he comes back,
Did I cross the line?
and then John Connor moves forward, like how I don't understand exactly how if he doesn't follow the exact timeline, then does it not like how does it not interrupt the space time continuum?
Right.
Well, the whole thing in Terminator though was that he was sent back, but
Yeah, what
you
are
know,
the time travel rules of Terminator?
just to protect her, right? He never says banger, of course.
Right,
But-
right. That's
but-
never, yeah.
but-
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, is that ever? I haven't found a spot in that film where it's ever implied.
No, well,
Yes.
I think it's supposed to be kind of like that kind of hand of fate
Yes,
aspect to it as well, right? So-
right. To go against the no fate, but what we make, and they kind of like make that fate, but it's already like it's in a lot of ways it's predestined, right? Because like he picks without. Let's assume that he doesn't know. Let's assume that my theory is just harebrained and I'm an idiot, which is a safe assumption. But that yeah, it's just the natural order of things taking place to make it all happen. And to think about that in a universe of infinite possibility, the fact that he's just going to pick the winning lotto ticket out of that group of soldiers and send back in time. Like, what if she sends back some dude who's like under 5'5" and isn't crushing, and
he's not
bringing
Sigma,
in-
he's not
bringing-
Alpha.
yeah,
Yeah.
bringing
Well,
in
yeah, how-
250K.
How risky is this for the future as well? Like it's not really thought out, right? Like they send this thing back, and somehow the humans decide to figure out how to capture it, and reverse engineer it, and then decide that okay, well we're not going to do AI because this thing got sent back. Obviously, there's some kind of robot war happening in the future that if we just don't create robots, that's never going to happen. And then I don't know, seemed like a risky gamble.
It's
absolutely.
It's a James Cameron film,
But it
And I
doesn't
say
follow Back to the Future rules, right?
that- well, Back to the
Jimmy
Future.
Cameron's.
Yeah, Back to the Future. The Zemeckis time travel rules are considerably different than the Cameron.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which
It'd just be funny if he was like, after he sends him back, his second in command comes up to him. He's like, okay, that went well. You told her he had to, have sex with her, right? And he's like, look at my mother. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't do
Right.
that?
yeah,
I didn't have to tell him that. It's implied.
Have you seen these arms?
he's from the future. How can she resist? Like the first thing she does is like hit him with her purse and run away.
Yeah.
Like,
It's such a wild thing to
It's
just think about some dude showing up going, I'm here to protect you.
well, so here's
He's
the
also a
crazy-
robot. He doesn't have
So now that I've played around with
who's
this,
Also on John Connor.
okay.
Oh, no, Kyle Reese. Sorry, Kyle Reese. Yeah, when
Yeah.
he goes back and he's like, I'm here to protect you, blah, blah.
well, so here's the crazy thing about it. Like it's a Jim Cameron film, right? And he's an action movie wizard. Titanic. Titanic is a great film for the reason that he parades you through all the sets, the ending, and then the first and second act are like him parading you through all these extravagant sets. Third act is destroying all those sets, blowing them all up.
Yeah.
So you get both the women and the guys in the theater, multiple return things. You get the guys like me kicked out for laughing when the guy hits the propeller. Like it's a smorgasbord. But I think in the Terminator I think was more of and I could be wrong, but I don't think so, is grappling with the concepts of the Matrix pre the Matrix.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Like we're creating this future that will inevitably enslave us to try to eradicate us because that's how we've set the focus of it to be, regardless of how it is. And our only hope is for a divine intervention to come back, providence to lead us back to some
And
sort
Jesus,
of
essentially.
some sort of salvation from our own Frankenstein's monster that we're creating. And so like as grotesque as those concepts that I was talking about before, I think those concepts also serve as the kind of like weird, almost incestuous type of like situation that we're laying out by embracing and intertwining ourselves with this technology. And I think it was an attempt at grappling with that back in the 80s when tech was not at all what it is now. It was, at that point it was heads-up displays were making their way into like mainstream use. So the video game cabinets behind you, man, that's that technology was developed by the Air Force on how to display the graphics on the screen there, the mirrors and the reflections and all that kind of stuff. So, and he's always been involved in those kind of things, those kind of projects, and had his head in that stuff. So I think there's a very real sense of of the machines we make as our Frankenstein's monster. Yeah, let's keep coming back to that.
It's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy thing too, because like if the machines didn't send a Terminator back to kill Sarah Connor, John Connor wouldn't have sent Kyle Reese back, and so like the machines actually created John Connor inadvertently.
Yeah.
So like the humans created the machines, but the machines created John Connor, like in a sort of like auxiliary way, right?
Yeah, it was the
risky move by the machine.
The equal and opposite reaction. Well, and as we go through the franchise and kind of see, not that it's that canon was respected all the way through it necessarily. They kind of, at best, they did nods to the previous version. But you have a lot of like, they sent it back to the old women that swallow the fly to catch the, swallow the cat to eat the fly or whatever, all that. It's that Russian nesting doll type of business that starts happening. And, they really expose the paradox and beat you over the head with it as the franchise goes on. But then it also gets twisted and you kind of get those different shades of the different outcomes and how it all works. And really at the end of the day, I mean, I don't think you could really take that movie seriously.
Yeah.
It's tough to beyond the concept of like, be careful what you wish for, be careful what you make. Like poking your nose in the unknown has very real repercussions, and there is no fate but what we make. We can say that all day, but at the end of the day, we can't prove it. We don't know it, and there's forces at work outside of our existence that we can't feel or see or hear, but can feel the effects of, like the wind, right? Or like Taco Bell Diablo sauce.
Yeah, that's really deep. I just think more like fuck robots.
I'm with you all day, man.
Except for Roombas. Roombas changed my life.
I like servos and some basic microcontrollers, but all this AI stuff, I think on the larger scale is a weird, dangerous game to play with ourselves.
If I could get a robot to do my dishes and laundry, then like that's as far as I want to take it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, get you hooked in.
Okay.
But I mean, even this, like we think of robots and you think of servos and moving parts, but like this thing right here, man, this is a Black Mirror in more than so many ways. And it's got us all kind of trapped.
You got it seduced. I've been seduced for a long time.
And it's because one. They went straight past the when the middle ones come for you and just went straight into like there's a war. Not to quote Dr. Jones, but there's a war for your mind.
There's a war for your mind and your soul.
Yeah, that Steve Jobs, he was a smart man. He saw it coming.
Yeah.
That was all that acid he ate.
I can't help but
or
wonder.
Mushrooms, actually. I think he ate more mushrooms.
I can't help but wonder behind closed doors the conversations that took place. Like, was it ever actually like? Did they ever stop and said, "Hey, what if this gets out of hand? What if this has a negative? Like, what if this has a negative? What if this has a negative impact on the world around us? Like
I don't think that they had that kind of infrastructure there where you.
I think a bit was
like
just.
That.
I bet it just got out of hand. It was just like, oh, look what we can do here. Let's do this, and then once it's like, oh yeah.
No, I think it was pretty much whatever the man said went.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is a weird, scary, dangerous thing, right? Like
I've heard there's all kind of stories about people that worked for him in the past, how he would do things and like just walk through like the engineering and just look over an engineer's shoulder and go, that's shit, and just keep walking. And that was like one of his favorite things to do because I guess from a standpoint of a management, he didn't care what you were working on, but by having the boss come by and say it's shit, it's going to make you work harder. On whatever it is you were working on. Whatever it is you were working on, you're now going to think about it harder because you're going to think, well, that's shit. I need to push it harder. So even if you were already like pushing the boundaries,
Yeah, he's
I'm not a fan of him really at all. I never had
No,
that.
he was kind of a
Yeah.
of a callous prick from what I understand as well. But
Yeah, even like you can put that front up, do that whole Gordon Ramsay front where you can kind of be stern, but then out of work you can be someone different, right? You know?
well, that Gordon Ramsay
But-
thing's an American thing.
yeah.
If you watch
I
any
know,
of his
but
British
I'm-
stuff, he's
no.
not that way in any of his British
I
television
know
stuff.
that, but I'm just saying that the idea of that, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of the two sides to the coin there. But
Which
yeah,
is
it's
funny that that's such an act, right? Like, why is the American version of Gordon Ramsay so different than the British version?
because people here we don't want to watch shit that when he's just chill and
Yeah,
just
we
like,
use-
talk to someone.
'cause
need
we got
drama,
to-
we need
I
people.
do. Have you ever watched his like actual
no,
cooking
yeah.
show where like
Yeah.
he cooks in his kitchen and teaches you how to cook shit?
Well,
awesome.
really, it comes down to they use the metric system over there.
That's it, pretty much.
What do you mean one cup?
What do you mean?
One bloody hell! It's fucking raw.
Cup of
donkey.
what? Yeah. Cup of what? Eat this boiling water. Yeah.
He keeps miscooking things. 'Cause it's all Fahrenheit.
My favorite, man, until the day I die, I will always love put the 2 pieces of the bread. What am I? An idiot sandwich.
Yeah.
Just,
That's one of the best things ever.
yeah, I know. I now seek his approval infinitely. Like,
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm a
that would
big Ramsey head, man. I've watched Hotel Hell, all the kitchen, the American Kitchen Nightmares. I've seen some of the British ones. Those are good, but I prefer the American one for sure.
be- Yeah, I like the Hotel Hell. That one's good too.
Dude, Hotel Hell, the intro to the first season is fucking a crazy mess. It's so wild. There's like a tiger. It's all badly composited. And there's
Yeah.
fire and a scorpion and a spider. Just-
yeah.
It's
It's literally-
mid 2000s.
It's like Guy Fieri got a hold of an AI prompt and designed the design the show opener. He's the one that has the time.
This is Flavor Town.
Yep.
Let me show
That's-
you a flavor.
that's gotta be-
He see Guy Fieri in charge of an AI machine. He would just keep typing,
Yeah.
first stop to Flavor Town,
Imagine.
show
yeah.
me more flavor.
Yeah. Somebody's got to tell me how to make this thing. I think it's called a control net. I got to be able to get a picture of myself in here and see the different hairstyles. Give me a guy with 3-inch frosted tips. Okay,
let's
2-inch
see.
frosted tips. He'd just kill an entire day getting down to like how much of the tip is frosted.
Yeah, he's
Can we
like,
do
"Oh,
very
no,
tips?"
platinum gold chain.
Yeah.
I need
There
a
was
platinum gold chain.
Man, there was a video. Guy is hilarious to me as a character. And there was a video that I saw online at one point where like he's fighting with his hairdresser, and they just like tumble out of the trailer, and the dude's just screaming at the top of his lungs. And I was like, I have never fought with anybody cutting my hair like that. Like, what a weird life
Oh,
this guy
yeah.
lives.
I
The
remember you
guy was
sent me
like,
that.
yeah, the guy was
Man.
just like scream, like it was like 2 cats fighting.
Yeah.
Is what it sounded like, like a cat or like a tomcat fighting a tea kettle.
I wonder if the guy went to any Diddy parties.
Any what?
Any Diddy parties? P. Diddy.
Oh yeah, I got diddled. Did he diddled?
He just got diddled by Diddy.
I mean, he's done. Look, all that stuff aside, whatever. That you get into the public, the spotlight.
Guess we're not going to celebrity gossip tonight, guys.
They'll mess you up. But I will say the guy has put a whole bunch. He's made a bunch of places famous, right? Like he's put a bunch of small mom and pops places on the map. He gives the charities all the time. The dude does really great stuff.
Hey,
Like,
yeah, look.
Yeah, no,
Diddy
it's
wants to
awesome.
put his finger
Yeah,
in my
I
butt.
love
I'll let him.
Hey, we weren't even
I'm
going
not-
there, dude.
I'm not going to be cutting his hair anytime soon because I'm frankly scared to be his hairdresser.
Yeah, did you fuck up his tips? You fucked those tips up?
Plus, I don't have this. I don't have the. What's the barber skills? What do they call it? What's the fancy name for a hairdresser?
Barbermanship, maybe?
Barbership. Barbership. Wow.
Barbermanship?
Cosmetology?
And do you think
Yeah.
barbers and haberdashers ever like meet up and like kind of just like give each other shit? Not that there's
They,
many
they
haberdashers.
make fun of all the cobblers.
Yeah.
You
Rough-
get
I
together
love watching
and
those
badmouth
cobbler
cobblers.
videos.
Those are things that are going to come back, man. When all this AI and all the utopians get their way and they bring us back to the dark ages, like the blacksmiths are going to rule the world.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, blacksmiths
It was-
and people that know how to make.
There's too many
electricity
things that can
primitive
like 3D
things.
print metal now.
Metallurgists. Well, but all that. Imagine all that stuff goes away, right? Like there's a big enough
Where's it
thing. And
going?
imagine they kill.
Where's it going?
Well, I mean, if they replace it with stuff that's just going to eventually just go away because people will be like a small sect of people that always kind of do that sort of stuff, but it won't ever.
There's
even now it's like that, right?
yeah. In the House of Representatives, there was an argument yesterday, and one representative teased another representative for having fake eyelashes in the House.
Oh, really?
So we're not too far. We're not too far off from people like eating their own shit and having it be like a real like a big problem. You know, there's
Honey, your eyelashes are just.
it's not far off from that. Straight up, man. Like I won't get into names and all that
Do
stuff.
they do this?
More or less,
Your
there was. I'll
eyelashes
tell you what,
are-
man. I'll tell you what. In terms of like things that were said in those chambers, there was a couple of brand new sentences. I'll
It's
put it
never
that
been
way.
uttered in those chambers, probably ever.
Correctly. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
There was, I'm not saying that I'm gonna like, split the atom on my lunch break anytime soon,
You're gonna try.
but I'm not. Yeah,
I mean,
I'm definitely.
He'll lose his house, his family. He's ready to put it all on the line.
Yeah, put it on the line. Well, there was, gosh, man, who was that guy? I forget his name. He was out in the Mojave and he was trying to build a rocket because he's going to prove the Earth was flat.
Oh, he died eventually.
Yeah,
right?
and he died. He didn't die from a launch, but he crashed. He crashed once or twice, and he didn't file like they scrubbed it. He was working towards it. It was when I still lived in California. He was working towards it, and they scrubbed it because they were like, "You never filed a flight path." He's like, "I don't have to respect your blah blah blah. You tell me to file a flight path. This is America." And I'm just like, dude, you're like trying to launch a rocket right next to a gigantic military installation in the desert. Like, how do you see this going?
I remember that guy. He's like, "We're gonna show you
prove-
that the Earth is flat."
Prove the Earth is flat. I'm just like, I can't, man. I can't wait for somebody to actually prove it. Like, me personally, I'm completely 100% willing to keep on believing that the Earth is round. I have no problem with it. It has zero effect on my day-to-day life, truly, or any of the things that I care about. It may, and when it does, then I'll care about it. But I'm also not opposed to believing that the Earth is flat. If that's how it is, okay. That's something that I genuinely have zero control over, and I don't. It's not going to make me distrust the government anymore or any less. Whatever.
So let's just tell us there's a giant ice wall, and then that right there. Yep.
And there's the hollow Earth. The hollow Earth is the one that I find really interesting.
The hollow Earth stuff is super interesting to me.
That's
There's this guy called Mr. Mythos on YouTube, and he does all these really esoteric. You heard of him, Zach?
Yep.
Dude, I love that guy. He's the only person I've ever heard just really go into depth and like make it edible, consumable for you to understand.
Yeah.
Dude, that hollow Earth stuff is fucking.
It's bonkers.
wild.
It's bonkers, right? Like to buy into it, you also have to buy into the fact that there's a big gigantic ice wall on the edge of everything that stops. And okay, so that was another thing where the last person to come at me and they were one of those people, what I'm talking about. Like you can't disagree with them on these topics, but you also can't agree with them. They just want to fight. They just want to fight somebody about it. And like they're trying to fleece us. You don't understand. You need to be upset and mad like me. And I'm like, dude, I'm already mad about enough stuff. Like, I got my mad bucket is just overflowing nonstop. Look at the Punisher. Okay. Anyway, those people, and they're just like, it's you can't fly. No flights go over the North Pole or over the South Pole.
South Pole.
Just like, the South Pole. None of the flights go over those areas. And I'm just kind of like, that's an interesting thing. And do I think that the natural conclusion to that is that the Earth is hollow and they don't go there to no fly zone because there's a big gigantic hole and people would realize like, I don't know that I'm buying that. That's a pretty quantum leap to jump to get there from A to B. Like with that as your evidence, like let's work on that, thinking this theory through just a little further. Sorry, go on.
There's other evidence that they say to it too.
It's a 4 M's. It's time for Mandt. Mandt at midnight.
Crazy. But I mean, with that being said, imagine if they're right. Imagine if that's real, and then at some point they're just like unleash it, like knock down the ice wall, let it all go. Like it's time for a
There's
reset.
just a bunch of Mexicans behind the ice wall, just going away. Thank you. We've been trying to come over.
Yeah. Oh, finally.
Well, you know about all the migratory birds that go toward the north, toward the south.
Birds aren't real.
Yeah.
What's that?
Birds aren't real.
They're not real.
Yeah. Right. Well, these surveillance drones that are dressed up like birds.
Yes.
They fly out toward Antarctica, and it's like whatever it is, they're birds that like other birds of that like species and everything. They aren't like Arctic birds, right? And so what's strange is like there's other like warm weather type thing, because some of the Hollow Earth stuff is actually like not everybody that's into it is necessarily about the ice wall. It's really that like that's just one of because there's like lots of myths that talk about the some strange stuff about Antarctica, because I think that's where they say like the entry to it is, or one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But like even a lot of cultures talk about going into the earth. Like you've got Xibalba in Mesoamerica. You have the ant people of the Hopi. You have what is it, like all over the world and at different like times. Even though like underground cities in Turkey, Turkey, but they it's pretty wild, man. Like I don't know, I think it'd be cool as shit, and I like to believe whatever's more fun too. Like it doesn't really affect me whether it's hollow or not. So I'm gonna believe that it is.
Yeah, the Godzilla movies did a good job with it. I thought with the look and stuff, you know.
Well, they shot it on location.
In Kong, I guess.
Yeah, they shot on location.
On location, yeah, they went there. Yeah. It's real cute, Josh.
Yeah, there's the world supply shortage of rope.
There's that. All that stuff ties into. Oh, man, I'm gonna murder it. I forget the name of the theory or any of the stuff because it's more of a recent thing that I came into reading, and I think we talked about it already, Josh, at some point, where somebody's theorizing that like humanity isn't more than like 300 years old. Like the mud flood stuff.
So my name, Scaligarian Skeptic. You know what Scaliger is? So Scaliger is Joseph Scaliger. Most of history, most of known like if you go to school, the history they teach you, almost all of it has been filtered through Joseph Scaliger. He was
really?
I don't know if he was a Catholic scholar or but what I think he was tied to some institution, right? Whether it was Catholic Church or whatever. But the idea is like I mean, I'm not necessarily a subscriber of Fomenko's new chronology, but essentially Fomenko was like a famous mathematician, right? That kind of points to what you're talking about, that like humanity is actually like there's been like 1,000 years that's fudged essentially or something.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. And that the whole dating, they just figured out like, hey, we're just going to do this. So we lost. Yeah, we're actually in 1700 or something right now, I think.
Something like that, right? Like the ancient Rome.
I can see that,
our equivalent 1500 or something like that.
That's plausible, right? Like, have you ever tried to count to 1,000,000 out loud? You know, you lose your count somewhere. You're like 6,500.
Yeah, they didn't keep real track of the date. Like that's why they didn't have like not everybody knew the date back then.
Yeah, right. And you've got
everyone's date started differently.
When society, I was gonna say, when societies merged, they all had to kind of get that Rosetta Stone moment where they were just like, so 15 or 19, and they were like,
it's like Bob over here says it's only 10
for 19.
Think about it that way.
Bob's up there picking his nose.
Yeah, actually, my mama was telling me what.
Mark it 7.
Even think DC as like a watermark, right? Or what's the word? A benchmark of like years.
Right,
it's
right.
kind of strange that that's a
Well, it's-
worldwide
BCE,
benchmark.
Yeah, before
Common Era, or before Christ.
Right. I mean, yeah, they say before Common Era, but it's like, fuck off. It actually, I'm not because I'm like pushing Christianity, but it means
That's what you're basing it
Yeah,
on.
you're
Right,
talking,
yeah,
you're
that's
talking
what
year
it
zero. Yeah, year zero.
yeah.
Year zero.
Now you bring it up, it's such a fucking little like academia sort of thing.
What
to
a
do.
good movie.
Academia.
Year Zero.
Year zero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
It was an underrated movie. Funny.
I don't watch.
Jack Black and Michael Cera.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right. Is that? Yeah, that is called Year Zero. I always forget that. My God, dude, they're so funny when Oliver Platt is chasing Michael Cera around the temple. Calls him a little bronze bitchlet.
And he just wants to leave. That shit was so funny. When he's just not a real good gatherer.
Yeah.
I'm just not a good gatherer.
It's not my passion. My passion is making. I love just making like pots and shit. It's he's just like. He's just back there with all his pots and all kind of fucked up. And they're like, well, you're not that good at it.
They
He's
come
like, I don't know.
when they find
There's like hay and shit in them. And
they find what's his name, Harold Ramis. And he's just like, he's like, you guys aren't gonna believe it. I got this new thing. I'm cutting off foreskins. Everybody's gonna be all the rage.
What an underrated movie.
they seem
Like,
long, don't they? Look at
There's
this
a lot
thing.
there's a lot of really
they
funny.
seem long.
There's a lot of really funny, like deeper jokes in that film. That, like it's great. It's great on the surface and it's funny, but then there's a lot of other like content that,
Yeah, if you watch it a couple times, you pick up on it.
yeah. Well, not only that, like if you miss it, you just miss it because you haven't read certain.
Oh
things.
yeah, you haven't read something.
Hey, not everybody's read a lot. Of
Gentlemen, we completely glazed over, given the chicken tendies to Terminator 2.
Wow, we did. Wow, yeah, we walked right out of that sucker.
Yeah. I see.
Okay,
Like I
right.
got to myself, I don't feel like it held up the way I wanted it to. I was waiting for the movie to be over. I would have given it 5 tendies as a kid, but I'm just gonna give it 2 tendies.
Oof.
And a sad little small little cauldron of lava.
Of lava magma. Yeah.
Magma,
Okay. That's
yeah,
nice. That's a
magma.
good touch. I'll give it 4 just because I don't know. I like it. And of course visually doesn't hold up, but I give it 4 tendies and I don't know, maybe like a little piece of exoskeleton from the T1000 or the Cyberdynamics 101 that they used in the film.
Just a pinky.
Just
a
like
big toe?
something
The wiggly
small.
big toe.
Something you could stick a key ring or keychain to.
I'm gonna. Terminator is one of my favorite films ever,
Yeah.
and I gotta give it 4 tendies, but also I have to give it a Bill Pullman Laundry Day, or Wash Day, and more importantly, I have to give it a bum saying that son of a bitch took my pants. There,
Just
Our,
a pair of bun-
graphics guy
you
as
gotta
the,
give it just one, just
Yeah.
a little pair of bun pants.
there are some lines in that film that slay me still to this day, and just brightens my day to hear that. Like I know that's not supposed, and that's something with Jim Cameron films for me. Like every single one of them has something that's not supposed to be funny and cracks me the fuck up, like nothing else on earth can.
should we keep like a spreadsheet of the movies and tendies?
We should. You're the analyst one.
Yeah, I
keep
can.
that-
I
keep
can.
that
I
going for us.
got Excel open right now. Actually,
I like
There
where
you
your
go.
head, I like
There
where
you
your
go.
head's at, man. Just drop them tendies in there. Get them in there.
Josh, what about you?
Yeah, Josh, what are you thinking about, Josh? And make it quick too. Just make it like 5 seconds if you get your review. We got time.
That's it.
We got time.
Yeah, I do.
Producers,
Yeah, that's
producers are
what-
telling us. Producers are telling us we're running out of time.
An unused future condom, like 'cause-
An unused future.
yeah, unopened. Because if
God damn it.
we were open, then we wouldn't have John Connor.
Yeah. We
What
get it,
is
we
a
get it,
future
Josh.
condom made of?
Well, you're pretty sure Kyle Reese had one in his jacket pocket or something, right? He was like, maybe I'm going to get some past, get some tail, or whatever when he
Are
comes
they
back.
are they still lambskin, or are they they've moved on to some kind of new synthetic?
Could be that
Also-
injection that they're doing over in India. you know, there's that one you can get little.
Well, they can
needle
make
pops
skin
in
now,
your
right? They can skin graft. So couldn't they, you know, like 3D print with skin? And I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Mm.
Well,
There's a futuristic internal condom you can get now. It's like a shredder thing. You get this, like, it's a filament you have injected into your vas deferens, and then it shreds any of your swimmers. But then as soon as you want to have kids, they inject with another thing that dissolves it, and then you're ready to rock.
They just put tiny little razor blades in there.
It's not even razor blades. It's just like a mesh, like a.
It's just bath salts.
It'll probably
Fill
end up
your
giving
wiener
you,
up
like,
with bath
dick
salts.
cancer or something. But
weird. So it's like a little lattice. It's like a little lattice that they get stuck to, and
exactly.
but it still allows fluid to pass through it, and then so they don't turn it into Bolshewitz. They turn it.
Yeah. You're becoming a mass, like it's a massacre every time you come.
It's just
You can hear they're screaming.
the beater blender.
What's that?
Nice.
What's that noise? It's just.
There was
Never mind.
It's 1,000 deaths.
There was a Woody Allen skit where he's dressed up in a little white suit with a jump pack and everything in a room with a bunch of other guys, and they're all sperm, and he's like, I got so much anxiety I don't want to go. What if he's masturbating? That always made me laugh.
I keep mine as pets in a fish tank.
Like
Yeah.
They're like little homunculoids, like
like sea monkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I kept a couple of mine. They're running. Well, I mean, they're sleeping now, but they get up and run around here.
Would you give it?
Well,
give
you'll
it
find
4,
that sock one
Josh?
day.
Right.
Yeah, 4 in an unused Bowery's coming.
Your condom.
Woo! That is pretty good. Well, I was thinking when he's explaining the Terminator to her, and he's like, yeah, they had like the T, what was it, the T200, 300s or whatever. They had like rubber skin and they were easy to spot. These ones had it all. They got like sweat, bad breath. Talk too much, grab you by the water cooler, make you late.
Full of cum too. These robots can come so
Bringing in-
fast,
full.
so much.
The whole right leg's full of it.
Bringing in rape culture. They're just awful.
All right, we got to pick a new movie.
Yeah.
You got the old sack.
Consult the bin.
Dude,
Yeah, we got to. We're running
just to
low.
show that
Write
I'm
it
not
down in a spreadsheet.
I'm not picking these consciously.
Do you see Army of Darkness in there?
I think so. I think I saw it too.
I can spot that one a mile
Mixing.
away.
Yeah, the font and stuff and the color.
Oh, that's what's coming out of there.
Oh wow, this is a deep dive.
Metropolis.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, I saw the. Speaking of that, I saw the when they restored it at
Yeah.
stuff in like 2000.
I can't say I've ever seen that.
I never
It's
have.
really long. It's like I
Yeah.
think it's like 3 hours long or something.
You can watch the Cliff Notes one. There's a
What's the running time there, Brandon?
Running time, I'm not
So,
sure.
this.
We're
this
going to need to run
particular
another
one, I
running
think,
time
is
right
for-
now.
Right now,
Right now.
let me
This
ask.
one's only
Let me ask
95
Bing.
95 minutes. That's not
Yeah,
bad.
there's a long cut, but this is the 95-minute.
Yeah,
cut.
'cause I saw
There's
Oh,
like 3
okay.
or 4 different versions of it.
Yeah, I forget which one I saw, but it was cool. They actually released some footage that you've never seen before at the time. I don't remember what it was. It was so long ago, but yeah, it was really done really well though. Like it's an interesting movie. You know, it's Max Fritz, I believe, right?
It's Fritz Lang.
Fritz Lang, sorry, yeah. So he's that German. He actually went into World War II, or he got recruited by Himmler actually to do propaganda.
Oh wow.
Really?
Yeah, I think he fled though, if I remember right. But yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to have to check out it. What did he get on Rotten Tomatoes?
Brought to us by Good Times Home Cinema. Or Good Times Home Video.
Ooh, it's got a 97 rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
It's one of those
Wow.
that though too. It's like, you know, the visuals and stuff and all that. The story is pretty cool, but it's just you have to realize at the time you have to kind of appreciate it for the time, because the visual effects in there are pretty wild, like all the matte painting stuff they did for it and the robot. And yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that'd have been
excited
the
to
old
watch
school way with doing like cells and stacking them and doing all that kind of crap. And
Optical comps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I want to do it. I want to learn how to do it. I think that'd be cool as shit.
that'd be cool
Well,
to actually do it
when
in
we
a
were
movie. Shoot it
when
like that.
we were in school, we had some at Dave's school. They had some guy come by that was a friend of the guy who ran the school, and gosh, I can't remember the guy's name, but I guess he worked on the original Tron and was like a VFX artist and been a visual effects artist for a long time. But and used to do all that stuff. So he had brought some of his Tron cells or whatever. But he was saying how like some of them get to like 60 frame stacks or whatever of them doing some of that stuff, and like,
Yep.
I mean, that's just maddening for one frame, you know.
That's absolute banana town, dude.
And
There's
the
a whole
organization they would have to have for that would just be crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's no. They had to plan it all out.
Yeah.
When they lost a ton of money on that initial one too, didn't they? Wasn't it like super
Sure.
expensive? Yeah, and they just kind of like it was a dud because people just didn't really get it.
Uh-huh.
Like it got like cult status later on, but if I remember correctly, yeah, when it came out, people were just kind of like, okay, whatever. Yeah, look, they're in the computer. Neat.
Yeah, I don't understand. My brain can't understand this.
Nerds.
Yeah, no, it was a strange movie because I mean, like, essentially you're in a video game, and people didn't even understand video games really.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah, they
then
were pretty new at the time, weren't they?
they were brand new. Like it would have been like even that technology would have been brand new. I don't even know that they would even had local arcades yet. It would have been mostly pinball machines and stuff in the late 70s.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
I don't think really arcade cabinets became accessible until like 81, 82, like to the local, skating ring and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
This was.
I think the pinball museum's here, right? Vegas.
There is a pinball museum there, yeah. It's massive. I wanted to go to it last time I was there, but I didn't get a chance. But yeah, it's huge, and you just pay for.
I'll save myself for you when you come.
I think it's you pay to get in, and then it's just they're all on, and you just play. So
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. You don't have to go crazy with quarters. And they have a lot of really old vintage games. It's not just pinball, so they have a lot of that old, really old stuff from the 20s and 1900s and stuff. Those really first kind of. They weren't really, video games. They were these big mechanical things that are you shoot a ball or something, and they're just brilliant pieces of machinery.
Yeah, that's crazy. They engineered shit like that back then. Yeah.
Gosh, all the mechanics that went into that stuff is and it's like clockwork. There's a lot of kind of that, same kind of engineering going in there, but it's just so cool the game mechanics and how they figured all that stuff out back then. It had to just be really difficult.
What do you think of Duck Hunt on the NES? The light gun games they had. You think about the mechanics. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It was the gun was essentially taking a picture of the screen and feeding that to the.
No, it was when you squeeze the trigger on the gun, there was a quick screen that would flash, and you didn't see it. It was just one frame, right? And it would show a square exactly where the bird was, and then the gun would pick up that square and know if it was, and if your gun wasn't perfectly aimed at it, it wouldn't see it. Mm-hmm. Right, so that's all it was. Is if you were aimed right directly at that square for that one split second, it was like, okay, you got a point.
Yeah,
right.
So it didn't actually capture the screen or anything. It just looked for that square.
Yeah, I didn't mean it photographed it. I just meant it was looking at an image, and if it was lined up, then it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, there was a huge margin of error too. You didn't have to be. You could be pretty inaccurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it actually was worse when you get closer. Remember, when you get you try to get right up on it, it didn't work.
I bet it was a focus thing. There's probably a minimum focus distance.
It was. Yeah. Those games I never had it myself, but I played it at people's houses who had it. Was the rifle, where you could actually line it up with the rifle from across the room. You get dead accurate with that.
Man,
there was
Big
a couple
Buck Hunter.
games.
Big Buck Hunter's a fantastic game, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah, I remember playing that. They also had a track and field. You could do skeet shooting with the light gun.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
There was some.
track and field was such a good game. It was
There
such
was
a good
some
button smasher,
pad.
right?
There was some. What was it? Something runner. I'm gonna look it up here.
Time Crisis.
Nah. Let's see. What was? Yes.
Time Runner.
Maybe Time Runner was it. But I gotta find it. I gotta find an image of it, otherwise I'm gonna go crazy. It was called the Super Scope. Was what the
the
name of the that was
Time
the
Crisis.
Time
No,
Crisis. Well, there
No,
was
that
a
was a
Time
new one.
Runner.
it was.
That was in
maybe it
1981.
Maybe it was.
There's Rambo too. I know you get a
It was a
Rambo.
Konami game,
Yeah.
Time Runner.
Are you talking about the one where it was like a arcade game with a sniper mounted on it?
It was like almost like a missile launcher, right?
It had yeah. It was like an RPG deal where it had like
Yeah.
a mount for your shoulder and then a vertical grip off the end of it. I'm looking here to try to see a picture of it. It might have been. It was like a run and gun type of a game. But it was like a first. It was like a first person. It was a lot of fun, but it still kind of sucked because they didn't have the like run down first person view on the horizon.
Oh, this is gonna bother him all night. As soon as we go off the air,
Yeah.
he's gonna be like,
Yeah.
"I got it."
I got it. Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorites was the. You ever played the Star Wars one that was in arcades where you had a joystick? It was sort of an evolution of the really old one from like the 80s. But it was a newer one where you use the joystick to fly an X-wing and stuff like that. But then there was a lightsaber battle with Darth Vader, and you actually had a joystick and you had to like block and parry and strike and stuff like that. It was pretty fun. Arcade.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
And it had honestly, I think for the time, this would have been like late 90s, early 2000s. The graphics were pretty solid for an arcade game.
Man, my favorite console of all time, I think, is still the Wii.
It's fun.
Like the Wii just was so much playability, so much replayability, so much, like the stupid Wii sports game. Like I could play that every time, do some Wii bowling, a little tennis. Oh God, the tennis was so good. It just had a real good feel to it, right?
Nintendo's always been a toy. Like I feel like Nintendo's been a high tech toy company. Whereas,
well, no, they've been a high tech game company. I mean, Nintendo produced games are still some of the higher quality games. Like the game itself is a really good game. Like Zelda, even the newer Zeldas are still a fantastic fucking game, right? Like at the end of the day, it's like a Pixar movie, right? Like Pixar is just not going to put out a movie until it's got the best story to it, right? Like until it makes some adults cry a little bit. They gotta have those moments in there. But like it's the same kind of way with certain video game companies, and I think that's Nintendo itself is one of those that they don't seem to push out too many games that are unfinished. You don't get an unfinished Mario.
Yeah.
Just like and they're of course they're a AAA company, but like same thing with you're not going to get an unfinished Rockstar game.
Right.
Yeah,
it may be unfinished in the sense of they're going to evolve it, but like you're not going to get one full of bugs and like a
Not like a Bethesda
Cyberpunk
game.
or something, right? Like it's just they lose that pride. And I guess what did they I just saw that like Bethesda's laying off like 4 of its studios or something. I just like video game industry is just taking I think a bigger hit than the visual effects industry at this point.
Every industry's taking a huge hit, man. Tech, video games, everything. Man.
I don't understand, I guess. I understand why we're taking a hit. It all makes sense. Video games don't, to me.
Well,
I don't understand why they're being hit so hard when video game sales are higher than they've ever been.
Their stocks get low, so then they have to make it look like they're doing something so to get generate more revenue, and then lay off people. And that's the whole.
And I can understand it happening to a couple of companies, but it's just like it's across the board. So maybe video games aren't, or video games like backsliding a little bit. Maybe there's just too much content.
If you think about it, in the recent right now, there hasn't been any. The biggest thing that's come out is Helldivers, and that was a small ass company that did it, and then Sony published it, and so there's all this scream about now that these small studios can do this type of work and get a live service game that actually works is pretty insane. Like it's so good. Like I was surprised, but yeah, it's this tiny little studio that Arrowhead. That's their name. Arrowhead.
Yeah, I watched a guy the other day, one of my YouTube holes. I don't know which guy it was, but he was like, he created a game within 2 weeks. Like, it was his goal to, like, I don't know Unreal Engine at all, but I'm going to, over the next 2 weeks, learn it and create a video game, right?
I've seen that video. I think.
Yeah, very ambitious, right? Now, he didn't quite get it accomplished in the end of 2 weeks, but he did, but it kind of showed, like, how hard that is to do. Like, it just... the resources and how it's just so much trial by fire, and you just have to learn, because a lot of those guys don't share that information. It's like in our world, like colorists don't talk. They don't. There's no class to go learn how to be a colorist.
Yeah.
Oh, you can. There's classes online for sure.
Okay, but it still doesn't mean you're going to get a job doing it.
Right, and then in every studio works completely differently. So, like when I did games, our Unreal Engine was basically rewritten to accommodate that game, right? So if we worked on another game, the engine was almost completely different. Like it was just like things you couldn't do things in one engine versus the other, even though it was the same engine, just because of the
different limitations.
Yeah. Like AI was a big thing then. Their AI agents, which was like the people killing you, the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like in Stranglehold, they had this trick where you could only have 6 AIs on the screen at any one time. And so they had this trick where they would, as soon as you killed one, they had the levels set up so they would spawn either off or just look like they're coming around the corner or something. So it's like a never ending, but there's only ever six bad guys on the screen at any given time.
Yeah. Right, because they're all tied. They're tied to the hardware specs and everything too. Like it has to be able to.
It has to be. You have to test it on your console. Your 2 consoles. You have a PlayStation dev kit and an Xbox dev kit. And sometimes just an Xbox or whatever you're doing, but we had both. And so it had to run on that, right? It could run great on your computer, but as soon as you tested it, you put the build on and you start playing it, it's like, oh shit, this like I have to now take all this shit out.
Yeah,
of my effect or whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, that's got to be insanely maddening to have to test on all those platforms, and
I'm sure they do make it better now or something. I'm sure they.
Well, what I learned too was by just watching that and watching a couple other videos of just on because I myself have like wanted to learn Unreal and like watch some things, and it's just like it's so much like any other CG program where like you can watch tutorials of how to do this, how to set up textures, how to set up lights, how to this, and how to hit render, but you're not going to find any tutorials of what happens when that render doesn't fucking work. Or you're getting all black screens.
That stuff is out there.
Or it's taken 7 hours all of a sudden, and it was taking 3 minutes, but now it's not.
Because usually it's a user error or some sort of error based on how the setup is.
Well, there's so much procedural. I mean, you guys know. I'm speaking to the choir here, right? But there's so many things in 3D that are. If you miss some little rule or something along the way, it can kind of work, but then it's going to bork out.
Yeah, or you just set yourself up to work really hard and this.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you could have done it more efficiently, which would have led you to render it just 1,000,000 times faster or something like that. Even though it kind of gets what you want, where you want it to be.
Much longer. Yeah, that's a whole thing, right? So if you're working in TV, you have to debate to yourself, am I ever going to use this again? Or your supervisor hopefully will tell you that. Or do I take the time and just knock it out? Right? Don't make it reusable. Just make the setup work. Get it done. And get it done, right? And that's kind of what a lot of people fall into, especially with tight deadlines. Is nothing is done correctly, but it's done right.
Bubblegum and duct tape.
Oh gosh, you know how many times I've redone and remade the same assets over and over again, still telling myself, even while I'm making it, I need to save this so next time I don't have to remake this, and then still don't save the damn thing and get to it next time and go, I really should have saved that last time. I'm going to remake this time, and I'm going to save it this time, and then I don't.
Or trying to dig through old files
because I think about like, well, I'll just grab it when I need it, but then the project gets archived, and it's like and that's a whole thing trying to get a file out of archive and
right. You know what got me doing that actually was Houdini.
Yeah.
Like Houdini allowed me to be like, I'm going to break this off. Like it allowed me to start treating my scenes like I would code functions.
Mm-hmm.
And have inputs and outputs for a procedure, and then just save that as an OTL, like on my local machine, and then
Even it doesn't even have to be pretty. It just needs to just wrap it up real quick. Don't even need an interface.
I know,
just the
yeah.
nodes, just the nodes that do it with maybe a brief explanation of like it's 3 a.m. and I'm blah 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 blah. Blah.
Yeah, it's a couple clicks too with Houdini.
This is what this does.
Subnet it.
And if you got important nodes, you hit C, color those nodes a color that's an important.
Well, that's the
color
thing
to
is
you.
I'm so anal retentive about like naming all my layers and keeping organization and doing all of that kind of stuff that I just drop the ball on things that should be really important, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I have a library of just files too, just pip files and setups and stuff. They're just like little. If you try to open it up and just what the fuck is this? Then I have to you had to put your notes or at least name the file what it is.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's invaluable. All that stuff.
No, I do. I mean, I do save a bunch of them, but I'm just saying, that there's always the ones where it's like, damn it, I didn't save this last time. Like, here I am doing it again.
Yeah, because especially it's the worst when you do it in the 11th hour. And to be fair, man, don't beat yourself up too bad because a lot of the stuff that you do in the 11th hour may have worked, but it's better for you to just start over and set it up again in a smarter way.
Well, there's times too where there's certain things that it's just like I don't really bother with it because I can do it so fast that it literally. I mean, would it save me a few minutes doing it? Just by dropping it in there, but it really doesn't take that long, right?
So
like sometimes you get so fast at setting things up, right?
When that's the thing where when you know that you have a procedure that you can replicate. With only, and what the variables are, the only things that change being like the input, maybe, then those are the kind of things where I actually sit down and set aside the time to write a script for it, where it just becomes a button. Then, like after I do, like that's my rule personally. After I do something 5 times and it's the same thing 5 times, okay, I get some code together.
Well, I guess that's always my thing is like like I get to the end of it, I'm like, okay, I need to package this up. And write, do what I need to, because there's so many times where I can write little plugins or whatever, especially for After Effects and stuff like that. So it's actually easy to do, but I'm so goddamn busy.
Yeah,
that I just cannot. Yeah, I'm moving on to the next thing so fast that it's like I can't think about archiving.
I think out of all of us, you're probably the highest volume person here. I would imagine.
It gets crazy. It gets really fucking.
I know. I don't deal with that. I used to deal with high-ish volume, but nothing near what I know you do. So, because you just want to get it out. It's like done, whatever. Like you get in autopilot mode.
I was on like 6 over the past past 4 weeks. I've been on 6 different projects.
Jesus Christ, dude, that's wild.
And the array of like things that have had to be covered, from like blood work to DMP paint to rig removal, doing complete interactive like iPad screens and all kind of like it's been nuts having to hone the skill of being able to like change flow so much. Like an artist's flow is just completely unappreciated by like I don't think that when we get to a bigger size company, and this is by no means am I talking shit about any company. It's just the nature of the beast, right? Like when you get these people that are the real smart people that can actually run the company, because I'm not that kind of smart. I'm a different kind of smart, but like do not understand like a workflow, like that artist's flow, that flow state, right? Like where things are happening, you're working, you're killing it. Things are working out for you. Even if you're running into problems, you're just kind of, you got your headphones on, you're in that groove, you're doing your thing, right? And it's just that flow is just constantly interrupted with fucking daily meetings and kickoffs and all. It's just like it's a complete disrespect of artist flow. Like, I think it's underappreciated in our world where it's a world full of artists.
Yeah.
Right, but it's not as easy. I think people forget, like, and I've worked in some places that don't forget, which is great, right? But I think people forget that artists are also emotional creatures, right? We're not so robotic, we got like a lot of us have cats, like we have feelings. We have our good days and our bad days, right? And I've even had arguments with bosses before, going, when maybe I wasn't given everything I should at the moment, right? Maybe I'm not given 100% at the moment, and they're giving me a bunch of crap about, well, why can't you be like this guy? Because he just gives, I can ask him to do anything, and he just never stops this, that, and the other. Because I'm not a maniac, first of all, and second of all, if you're asking me to be 100% of the time, then I'm sorry. I just can't do that.
I have a rule.
I said you can get into the Hall of Fame if you're a Major League Baseball player. You get into the Hall of Fame by hitting 333%. Like .333. You're one of the greatest hitters of all time by hitting a third of the balls that are thrown at you. Right? That's a third, and you're one of the greatest of all time. But you're asking me in our profession to be 100% of the time and bring the pain every single project. It just no.
And then you're only as good as your last project. That's the thing I have an issue too with. It's like, dude, I've always helped. I've done my job or whatever, and then this shit comes up. This happened to me recently, and it's just like, I even said I don't have 100% of you. I was like, no, of course you don't. Like, I'm not going to give you 100% of my time. I know what you're getting at, but like, I can't give you everything I have. Like, that's crazy to think.
Yeah, that's irresponsible for you to ask me for 100% of my time, 100% of the time.
Yeah. I'm not in the office, like things are going on at home or something sometimes, but when I'm at work, I'm working, I work and I get stuff done. It's a weird, very weird, toxic kind of like trait in visual effects.
If I'm a mechanical engineer or like, and I'm running a factory, right? I know better than to push all my machines at 100% of the time. They're going to break.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way in our world.
No, I mean it's been a constant. Once somebody figured out that a bunch of people wanted to work on a bunch of stuff and do this, have like a cool job that they did, and a lot of people would do anything to get in there, and they could pay them in T-shirts and pizza and demand overtime from them by.
Oh man, I hadn't had a T-shirt in years. I miss T-shirts.
Well,
those are cool, right?
They got us back then. Now I get T-shirts. Now I get handed T-shirts where they're like they bought a medium and they give me. Yes, like you fucking kidding me, man?
I think the last T-shirt I got sent to me was just a large, and I'm like, I'm a large man, but I'm a double extra large man.
Yeah, I take a double medium, please.
Double medium. Can I get 3 mediums?
I'm gonna need a few of these to stitch together, right? This will make a great patch on the back of my jean vest that I wear.
Yeah, I can make a pant leg out of these, out of all 3 of these.
Sweet, yeah, exactly, right. Sweet, an arm warmer. It's a messed up situation. People are pretty abusive further up the chain, and I don't care. Like, it's not always, but it's an issue of snap judgment, in my opinion, all the time, man. Somebody, like, you get up there and like it matters what you say in any given moment. Like, don't ever open up your mouth and have an opinion. Don't ever do this. Don't ever do that. There's like your life just, the closer you get to the top, your life just becomes more and more self-censorship. And for me, that was always just so soul killing, where I was just like, man, the closer I get to like whatever I thought my goals were when I started, the more I realized that maybe this industry isn't entirely for me. Like, I still do my job and I still enjoy doing my job. But man, if I like, I've rarely meshed with anybody beyond a certain level of management. Because it's just me, like I've got an opinion, I've got a voice, and I'm maybe not everybody's intended audience. But
maybe there's like a future where, like what Charlie Chaplin and all them did with United Artists back in the day, right? Where it became a whole studio, not just like speaking even beyond like not just them being actors and we're visual effects people talking about this, but that like the whole studio system that they created was a parallel system to the big studio systems, like going up against Mainly and all them with Universal and stuff. Is they created a movie creation studio that rivaled and sometimes exceeded what the other studios were doing. It was run by artists, and that's where United Artists came from.
And this is where it gets tough, man. Is because, in my opinion, I'm going to say something here that's going to probably, not everybody's going to agree with this. It's an unpopular opinion.
You can hold up the Constitution for just as a.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say, man, the stories that we're telling as of recently really aren't that interesting.
Yeah.
Like the stories we get paid to tell, the stories we get paid to make the imagery for.
Oh, everything's
I sit
so
back and I'm
homogenized. It's
I'm
so
like-
homogenized.
And there's certain things that I don't care about. Like for films, you don't get like feel good films very much anymore that are just like, let's just have a fun time. Like if you turn on Netflix, for example, and I don't want to try to like bite the hand that feeds me because I've worked on some Netflix stuff. It's fine, it's great, but like every time I turn on Netflix, there's like an agenda on every show there is, and I'm like, this isn't a story, man. This is propaganda.
Yeah,
Stop
everything's
that,
like just-
please.
And the alternative is just alternate propaganda, right? It's like with flavor. It's not like,
yeah, nobody's out there making and God bless the artists who are like, I've got a story to tell, and the majority of those stories are, I don't know, man. I'll take the propaganda, the well-produced stuff over half of the stories that I get handed to read and sort through. I'm just like, I don't know what to say, man. Like this needs some work. It's not there
and
yet.
then you have to do that whole dance of like, you have this uber excited producer director on the other side who wants you to be like, this is the greatest script you've ever read. And you were and because of where the position you're in, you have to act like that. Oh man, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah, you got to
like,
toe the line.
oh, this is going to be. I can just. Oh yeah,
There's no.
It's almost like you're being run by AI. When AI kicks out something when you want them to like our description for this. I'll be honest, the description for this is kicked out by AI because it's so. I just need the keywords, right? Like you need the keywords to hit in YouTube. So I don't really care less what it says.
Yep.
Because we don't really have an agenda for each show, right? Like, so it's just whatever. But at the same time, like it's so corporate speak and like, so, I don't know, I hope this email finds you well. Like that just drives me insane.
Circle jerk.
Yeah, it drives me insane to have to talk like that. But there's times where you have to, which is unfortunate, right? Like,
we have the power to, like, as with our profession, like our side of the profession, one thing I'm trying to do is work with like filmmakers that have stories. I'm like, oh, that's cool. How can I help do it? And like, I'm working on a couple projects for free where I'm like I'm even talking to them maybe about points on it or something like that as a producer, being like, I'll do all the visual effects for free. Just make me a part of the film, as far as like, not like so I get credit, but meaning like
do it for the real.
You produce a portion of like the value of that film, and instead of working as like I work for $70 an hour or whatever like your rate is, or whatever, it's just like, well, no, I'm making the movie for you. Like this movie doesn't exist without this part of it, just like any of the trades in it. But like this is a big one in a lot of today's films. And I think like a lot of people don't realize the power. If you're a generalist enough of a VFX person, especially if you know how to like coach them into shooting things in a way where it's like, hey, you guys, like, if you really follow this and you shoot it this way, we could really do some kick-ass shit. Like, you can punch above your weight class, I think, and we could really, like, if enough VFX. I mean, I know there's VFX people already doing this. I know this isn't unique to me thinking this, but that's a world I'm excited about. Like, fuck working.
Yeah. Hey, look, I have to speak from honesty here, just simply because I know you and I love you, but I don't know another generalist to your level.
Oh, but
like you're as far meaning like as far as a generalist, just a little bit about every goddamn thing you can throw at you, right? Especially with like filmmaking and VFX. And I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, but you've honed that skill. And so that's where it's,
right.
Like, because you've taken advantage of those opportunities that are set out in front of you, which I think a lot of people don't do. Quit worrying about what they all pay and just take advantage of those opportunities, because you never know where those are going to lead to the next thing and where the other stuff will come, right? Like, and you've just followed those opportunities, and it's led you to be this insane Swiss Army knife that is kind of unrivaled, or by few. Let's say, you're not an anomaly in the world, I'm sure, but not a lot of people have honed the same skill set that you've honed.
That's true, but I guess maybe you know whatever an individual's strength is, right?
Right.
Like I mean, you're quite a generalist yourself, and like I mean what both the two, all four of us.
I mean, all four of us are kind of really like we have our specialties, but we all kind of know it all. You know, not all of it, but you know, we kind of can dance
have to get in
around
trouble.
different things. Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to say too is that you know, like taking on projects like that, it has to be something you're excited about too, right? In a way, because you want to put that passion into it. You know,
yeah. I'm
believe in the
think
project and
shit.
like,
you won't do it for a movie you think's going to be shit, right?
Right.
yeah, or even if you know maybe it is shit or whatever, but it's just like something you're just excited about doing, you know, and that'll help show and just get you through it because you know, I mean, you know. Free work is it's tough, especially if you know need a job or you're working a job.
And you know what? Sometimes you do need to do it for the real. I mean, like,
yep. Oh,
I remember getting one of the very first jobs I had in visual effects was just working for some indie movie, and I remember they gave me all these shots. Right, it was like 40 something shots if I remember correctly, or whatever, all kind of different stuff. It was simple stuff. But then they got back to me, and I gave them my bid, and they came back, and they were like, oh, well, we have some guy that said they can do it for like $800 for all of it. I'm like, well, let me get their number because I'm going to start offloading all my work to them. And I'm like, and I remember like writing that back to them, and then, just let me know, I'm here if you need me, whatever. And like a couple months later, them writing me back and going like, okay, well, we're going to let you do it. The other guy, whatever. So, but you never know where, most people would look at that and kind of get mad, right? Like $800, hey, you can kiss my ass and whatever. But like, no, I stayed nice to the guy. I was funny, because I gave him a little funny thing back, and like stayed nice to him, said, hey, I'm here. If you need a backup or you have a couple extra shots or whatever, just let me know. And it led to me getting some shots from him that, didn't pay a lot. It wasn't a ton. But it kept me working. That led to the next thing, that led to the next thing, that led to the next thing. So it was, and I think I found that, I don't remember if it was on like Fiverr or something, right? Like it was one of those sites that like, they throw up jobs and are real low priced, and most of them are just crap. I followed one of them, right? And just threw it out there. I was like, okay, hey, yeah, I can do visual effects. So it never, you never know where those opportunities can lead. So, Even internships, like you just never know where internships can lead to. I think it's still, people are so, and I get it. It's part of it's the school system. A lot of people go to school and they strap you with so much damn debt coming out of it that you got to go take the first job you can. You can't really, and then you're just the whole time trying to climb some ladder that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
But it it's difficult. But as long as you take advantage of those opportunities, you'll make it happen.
Yep.
I agree.
Pretty much.
Well, is it the time for the sexy saxophone? Are we reaching the end of our show here, gentlemen?
Real
I think
good.
we're at our. Did we get our? What was our movie? I gotta write it down. I didn't write it down.
It was. I got it. It is.
Metropolis. Yeah, I gotta do our homework for next week. And then I always forget to mention our sponsor, New Codex Nodes Within Nodes. It's Mr. Dan Smith. I'm really dropped the ball there. I hear he's going to lose the mortgage on the house because he gave us this $1 million check, and I just haven't.
Lights.
Yeah, I haven't really followed through with it. I just noticed that actually. It's nice. It's a nice touch. But go out and get Nuke Codex if you want to learn Nuke. If you want to learn what nodes are, if you want to learn what the nodes are within the nodes, that's the place you go and get them all. It's a wonderful thing. But yeah, what else we got to do? I don't know. I don't even know what's going on here anymore with this, guys. What do we got to do now? We got to do the. If you have any comments, give us the podcast.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, make sure you smash that like button.
Hey, come
or
on,
not.
Man.
Really.
Go ahead and tickle it if you want.
It's down there.
Yeah, somewhere. Not exactly.
There might be a graphic up here.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to.
Hey,
be.
you'll see the next 3 chapters over here in this video and over here.
Yeah, and make sure to come and follow our soup recipes at our other channel.
Soup recipes.
This
So depressing.
What
episode,
we having for dinner again? Soup?
this episode of Deep Fried Pixels has been brought to you by the First Amendment.
And minestrone.
Quite literally.